Good morning. Welcome back to the show. As you can probably see, if you've been watching the last few videos, I've upgraded my lighting. So we're back in the good studio now, got some good lighting. Using some more decent software to get these videos out. But this video, as you probably saw from the thumbnail, what the fuck is going on in crypto at the moment? We're going to go through some prices this morning and see what's going on. You'll probably see from the ticker on what's happening on price, but we're going to go through that in a second. So the question is, what has been happening this week? It's been a crazy ride. Nothing untoward though. If you're in crypto, this is usual. You know, the 20% pullback, 30% pullbacks. Post-halving is nothing unordinary, I should say. So yeah, brace yourself, put your seatbelts on. It's going to be a fun ride. So just a couple of points. Why has it dropped? We've been looking at some of the sort of key indicators and see what's going on. So it looks like there's been some sell pressure from the Bitcoin miners. Bitcoin miners are dumping more Bitcoin than your uncle dumping his tech stocks by the looks of things. And it looks like some of the doomsday predictions that have been on CNBC are starting to come true. Since June, they've offloaded 2 million's worth of Bitcoin, making it the fastest sell-off in over a year, which is absolutely huge. So total miner reserves have plummeted by 50,000 Bitcoin since the start of the year, dropping to the lowest level we've seen in the past 14 years, which is absolutely insane and crazy. But also, if that wasn't enough, miner revenue has taken a nosedive this past month, which only adds more fuel to the sell-off. The other thing to look at as well, which I've discovered, is number 2 in this issues of why is there a big sort of cut in Bitcoin this week, is the German government are selling Bitcoin. So the Germans are offloading Bitcoin like they've never done before. And also it looks like the government sold 195 million's worth of Bitcoin last week. But bearing in mind, these coins were seized from the operators of I think it was a movie piracy site from memory. So it's good news to a degree because the government still own 2.87 billion Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So it's not like the government in Germany are running for the, running away from the whole Bitcoin society. That's on the contrary. It's actually the opposite. You know, the German government are still buying Bitcoin, but this is offloading from a pirate website, like I say. But also there was other news about why Bitcoin kind of dropped this week, and that was because of the Mt. Gox issue. So basically, as you probably know, or if you don't know, Mt. Gox was one of the biggest exchanges, and they went into bankrupt or liquidation. And basically the distribution of repayments in Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash to creditors was originally planned for October. But today, or this week, actually, we learned basically it was moved up. So that's another reason for why, this dump's happening within the market. It's to do with the Mt. Gox situation. Yeah, it's looking absolutely crazy. So this was significant because it involves a massive 140,000 Bitcoin valued at approximately, I think it was $9 billion, which is absolutely huge. So, there's a huge flush out of Bitcoin happening at the moment. So it's nothing to worry about. In my humble personal opinion, it's a great time to be buying. And as Raoul Paul always says, and I always relay what he mentions, is the banana zone is coming. So don't panic, all is good. And we're going to look at prices just in a sec and see what's going on. Is there anything else to mention there? Yeah, I think it's going to be looking pretty crazy. But at the same time, I think it's going to be looking good, in the next sort of few weeks. And hopefully we're going to start to kind of, rise and get Bitcoin back onto the map to get that sort of parabolic move. I just wanted to share this with you guys. I'm going to share a video, so keep watching the video, like, share, comment, subscribe. And we're going to talk about, or I'm going to play a video, which is a really interesting video from Anti Pompliano. It's only a 4-minute video, so I'm going to play the whole thing in a minute. But let's look at Bitcoin prices. So this is the last 7 days. Really interesting to see. Bitcoin, $61,000, 701. And I've put at the ticker on the bottom of the screen, these are live prices as of today, which is the 26th of June. Yeah, interesting. So Bitcoin up 1.36% in the last 7 days. ETH up 0.98%, currently running at $3,399. SOL is up 1.71%. Something to watch, and I've mentioned this on the previous video and done some videos on it, is TON by Telegram, or TON's a part of the Telegram network. It's a fantastic project. I'm starting to look at investing. I haven't invested yet, but I'm trying to look at maybe a dip that's going to be happening within that particular project, but really, really bullish on that. If you haven't looked already, have a look. In fact, let's just take a look and see how things have been going on the TON. Yeah, so you see where we're at the moment. So we're looking basically at touching on, yeah, we're at $7, $7.5. But you can see, I mean, the great thing about TON is these guys have got a huge, huge network. In fact, I saw a social post yesterday, and it was talking about Cardano, how Cardano is suffering. You know, they've spent huge amounts of money on marketing, but what, or who they're competing against now is someone like TON, who's taking market share, because TON's got the user base ready to go. And if you know about software and creating communities, it's about getting people onto the platform as quickly as possible, and that can take months, years even to get to that point. What TON's amalgamation with Telegram is unique and fantastic is they've got multi-millions of users already on the platform, which is fantastic. You know, the scalability is already there. The network effect has taken on board already. So yeah, something to look for with TON. Really, really interesting. So as I mentioned earlier on, I wanted to play a video which kind of talks a little bit about what's happening within the markets by Anthony Pompliano. He was on CNBC. Really cool video, 4 minutes long. What we're going to do is have a little watch of it in a sec, but it's just interesting to see what his feedback was on that. It was all about, you know, what's happening in the markets with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other altcoins as well. And it's just really interesting to kind of get his take and really what's happening out there. So look, let's check it out.
This morning, joining us now, Anthony Pompliano, founder and partner of Pomp Investments. When do you look at what's happening with crypto and decide that there needs to be a reason for what's happening? And moves like this back to 61, watching Bitcoin for the last 5-10 years, the moves happen like this all the time. You have 3 reasons why Bitcoin has come down from above 70 to where it is now?
I think it's important first to put it in context, right? Bitcoin's up 40% year to date. It's up 100% over the last year. So in terms of volatility, this is pretty expected. What we've seen in previous bull markets is that there's 4, 5, 6 different drawdowns of 30% or more. We're down about 15% or so. So this is right within kind of the band that you would expect. I think that what occurs is when an asset goes up a lot, people start to take profit. And so what we've seen is this explosive rally to start the year. People naturally take some of that profit. We're also seeing a lot of people doing the basis trade, where they're basically going long the spot market and they're shorting futures. And so what that is doing is it's dampening some of the volatility, which allows for leakage and some selling. And then lastly, I think, is we get to the summertime, right? You see this, a lot of people in the public markets will say, you know, invest till May and then go away.
I think that's really, really interesting. You know, it's summertime. Let's not forget that. Summertime is on the horizon. We've had the points that I've just mentioned to you about as well. So it's a really, really interesting time. And it just kind of paints the picture to kind of calm everybody down and sort of say, look, you know, yes, Bitcoin is dropping significantly, but these are some of the sort of pointers as to why that's happening. Let's carry on watching it.
And so you start to see some of that as well here, where people are seeing these really explosive moves at the beginning of the year. And then also Q4 tends to be a big kind of quarter for crypto as well. And so Q2 into Q3 tends to go kind of sideways. I think that's just what we're seeing.
We've noted that it has decoupled a little bit from just the risk on trade and the NASDAQ trade. And, you know, stocks have held up better than Bitcoin, even though the prospect of rate cuts is 5, 4, 3, 2. Now, I don't know where we are. We're at 1 rate cut this year. That's what Bitcoin really needed, was an easier Fed. That's what always.
It's a really good point. You know, I live in the UK and we're looking at rate cuts happening this year. Is it going to happen? Who knows? I mean, in theory, the US is going to be having a rate cut this year. And then obviously we follow suit in the UK and probably the rest of the European markets and the world as well. So it's really worth kind of looking out to that as to why, you know, Bitcoin is kind of relying on interest rates to drop kind of get more investment into the Bitcoin industry, basically. But let's see what else he's got to say.
Juices it.
What I think is really interesting is, a couple of years ago, it was all about Bitcoin and crypto. Now, a lot of people are talking about AI, but I think people are kind of missing that these are actually part of the same trend. We're going into this automated world where AI is going to create enormous amounts of wealth, and Bitcoin is going to protect that wealth. And so when you start to see these technologies coming together, an easy way to see that intersection is what money are the machines going to use?
Then why is it diverging?
Well, what you start to see is people are putting capital, they outlay it into Bitcoin, into crypto, and now they move over to AI, they'll go and they'll invest there. But it's not like Bitcoin is going and falling, 50%. What they're going to do is, as AI continues to...
And that's a really good point, right? We're not dropping 50%. These are, part of the cycles. And for those people that are new to crypto that are on this channel, it's 20, maybe 30% drops are standard. What comes with volatility comes huge rise as well,
kind of get larger, there's more wealth generated there. People are going to look to protect that wealth. And I think that they'll go back into Bitcoin. And so my guess is that AI and Bitcoin are both a 10-year trend here. We've got massive tailwinds. And the good news for the United States is there's a potential that GDP will actually increase because of the productivity from AI, and then Bitcoin being able to protect a lot of this wealth. I think that people looking at this as what's going to happen day to day or week to week are missing this huge tailwind for the next decade.
So
And again, really, really interesting. It's not just about these short wins, as Pomp puts it. It's about the bigger picture. So if you are a daytime trader, that's not me, by the way. I'm more long term to look at what can you get out of this particular investment long term. For me, I like the technology. I like the whole premise of being decentralized. So when he says, it's about long term vision here rather than short term. If you are in this for the short term and you haven't got a stomach for Bitcoin volatility, you're obviously in the wrong market. So let's hear it a bit further on what Pomp says.
After the halving, maybe you get profit taking too. Is that part of what?
Historically, we've seen a run up into the halving, and then we've seen sideways to slightly down.
This is the first time you had a spot ETF, though.
Correct.
Are they have as much Bitcoin as they need now to satisfy clients?
No, I think that what we've seen in the ETF flows, when you go and you analyze it, about 80% of the flows into the ETF were actually retail, right? People thought it was going to be big institutions, but only 80% was retail from some of the analysis. What takes a long time inside of these organizations is they've got to go to their investment committees, they've got to make a case, they've got to go through the approvals. If you're a financial advisor, the number one job you have is don't get fired. And a great way to not get fired.
I love that, ending on that. Just don't get fired if you're a financial advisor. And he's absolutely right. That's really what it's about, isn't it? So a little bit of information there, what's been happening within the markets, looking at the price today. As you can see from the ticker down there, you can see live prices as of the 26th of June. Really interesting to see what's happening in the market at the moment. Obviously, things are changing rapidly. There's a lot happening, a lot of disruption happening within the markets, but hopefully I've kind of outlined what's happening out there just to give you a bit more sort of, give you a bit more comfortability factor on what is happening with Bitcoin at the moment. But most importantly, welcome back. Really appreciated you watching the video. Again, please like, share, comment. It all helps for me to build more content. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon, guys. Thanks very much.